Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, agents. We are back with another awesome build for you build junkies out there. Me and my Mountie squad have been vetting and building some pretty cool builds and putting together some other awesome builds for you. And you may have seen some previously here with Mountie squad member Infamous Gaming and his videos dropping with his latest Banshee build. If you haven't seen that, go check that out. And before we start with today's Firecrest build, and this is going to be a really great time to build a Firecrest build, and I'll tell you why in just a minute, I want to address a couple comments that people were saying about a video that I posted yesterday, and that was, why care? What is the big deal about Ubisoft lying? And that in and of itself, it goes toward integrity of the company. If you can't trust what the company tells you, how can you trust anything the company tells you? Now, this was a very specific message aimed at people who are playing the Division and getting them excited about the launch numbers. And the big deal is that they said something that was blatantly false, and they even went so far as to retract that statement. Now, this is part of the problem that I have with the election with Hillary and Trump, and it goes towards, maybe it trends towards older people, and it's very much so a lack of awareness that the internet exists, and that anything you can and say will be used against you and can be fact-checked. And so I just want to say that that is really what it's about. It's about integrity and being able to trust a company. And if Ubisoft is lying to people, then and this is not the first time. This is definitely not the first time they have blatantly, full-on said something and then had to retract it because it was blatantly false, and this is just another one of those instances. So anyways, I just want to clear that up. Let's go ahead and move on to the build. For this build, you are going to need 4 pieces of Firecrest, and it really doesn't matter what pieces they are. Depending on the type of build, you can put points into electronics, firearms, stamina. It doesn't really matter, because what we're going to do is we're going to teach you how to build this Firecrest, and this is the best time to do it. This week here, this week only, because this will allow you do is create something that looks like a cleaner build, because this is going to cleanse everything with flames. So start off with your 4 fire piece crit. And the higher your electronics, the more damage you're going to do, and the better this build is going to work for you. Now, you should have a buttload of cash on hand, because let's face it, everybody is flush with cash at this point, because loot is dropping like rain. And so we're going to go shopping, because this week, this is where you are going to build up more firearms, more electronics, and more stamina for your character, for this Firecrest build. So let's go ahead. The first place you're going to want to head to is Madison Stand, where the vendor is selling a stamina mod, 249 stamina, and it has a bonus of 3,133 skill power on it. This is going to give you some increased turret DPS for killing fast with your flame turret. I would buy enough to fill all the slots that you have, regardless of how you feel, unless you need some additional firepower or something else. Next, we're going to head to Southpaw to grab some performance mods. These mods that are being sold are turret damage mods that will increase your damage by 4% each. That's right, 4% for each turret damage, and they cost about 163,000. Now, you can mix and match your mods with duration and range. I have a couple duration turrets, percentage, I have some range percentage, and I have some other things, but the range is already huge, so with the 4-piece Firecrest, and so bolstering your damage will be a good way to make sure you are absolutely wrecking NPCs in this build. And you can take this into the dark zone. It works just the same. You light people on fire, you shoot them in the face, and you kill them. Now, at 100,000 electronics, your flame turret is going to be hitting for an ass-pounding 4,700 damage per tick, but you can actually increase this with higher electronics on some of your gear. The highest tick, if you went and put all of your stuff in electronics, the highest tick I've seen is, for a skill build like this, is upwards of 12,000 per tick, making it a great way to down enemies fast, because you are now going to pair that with a nice FAMAS or the military M4. The FAMAS is going to be highly recommended for this build. In the military M4, I only bring that up because it's being sold at the vendor this week. If you need something, go ahead and look at one of those people who do the vendor weekly things to find out where that is. I forgot where it was, but I'm currently using that one as my secondary weapon, and I'm using the FAMAS as my first one. Now, with the 15% to burning targets that you get with the 4-piece bonus of the Firecrest and the 15% damage increase from the FAMAS, you're looking at a 30% increase and that's actually a 15% boost, and then you get 15% of that. So it's not really 30%, it's a additional 15% on top of the 15%. And that's when things are really going well. Pairing that with the burn ability that has the chance to set other NPCs on fire in the vicinity to any burning target, you can guarantee you are going to be finding a lot of burning targets around and a lot of damage being done. Now, pairing this build with a nice set of items is going to be easy since you can almost round it out with any set. I personally would find Barrett's chest piece to be a good place to start here, since if you don't have any skills on cooldown, you get that 10% bonus to skill power, which at 100,000 skill power, you're getting an additional 10,000, which is going to bolster that damage even more than you had it before, until it runs out, and then you're going to get a boost to damage or armor depending on how many skills you use. Now, why is this a must build? Well, it is, it's a great crowd control. It has great crowd control properties, and it does a great solo playstyle. So if you're looking for something that you can use to solo NPCs, challenge mode, or something like that, I would go ahead and use that. It can also be used as a support class when you're in a group of 4 people in the dark zone or something like that, because it does have the great setting things on fire ability and great crowd control ability. So now is the greatest time to build this build right now. Bolster your Firecrest set. I know a lot of people aren't too keen on it because it's not a super high damage build, but you do, when you look at my damage, I'm getting, anywhere between 50,000 to 80,000 per shot, depending on the crit and the headshot and stuff like that with my FAMAS. And so it's actually a really great build, and I would definitely use it if you enjoy using the flame turret and you have the right loadout. And this is the best time to do it because the vendors are selling the equipment that are going to help you build up this loadout and get the optimal use out of all of that stuff. So anyways, that's my time. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so glad that you tuned in for this build. We're going to be doing more of these builds. Infamous is going to be doing some builds, and we're going to get you the most and the best builds that you could possibly get. And this is definitely the best time, as it says in the title, the best time to build your Firecrest set. And you can go ahead and get a Reckless chest piece. I would recommend that. Get some Savage gloves, and that's going to increase the damage output on this immensely. And go ahead and move things around, try and build it up and see where you can find an optimal range where you're doing a massive amount of damage. And I just found, like, I tried to even out my builds. I try to be an even build as when it comes down to it. But this is really what it is. It's really for building up a skill build and making sure that you can deal a lot of damage while things are on fire and the flames are shooting out everywhere, and you're really just having a good time and having fun while you're playing this. So thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, found it useful, drop a like on this video, and we'll catch you next time. For all of us here at Gun Brothers Gaming and the Division Build Talk, we will catch you next time. I've been Mountie Carl. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Mountie out.